Tonight on Crimewatch, a hotel attacker proves that integration is possible by fully embracing life in Glasgow and stabbing 6 people, just like the locals. The Epping hotel asylum seeker was jailed for sex assaults and then obviously admitted that he was only visiting on holiday, so he'll just go home as soon as he gets out. Thanks all the same. And in Birmingham, one of 7.4 million blokes called Mohammed was found sexually abusing a 5-year-old. This is just a taste of the crime that has occurred in the UK this week that the BBC doesn't like talking about very much, so I'm going to do it. This is, of course, Crimewatch Hostile Foreigner Edition, Episode 2.
You don't know the way.
Yes, do you know the way?
You have to have Ebola to know the way.
Now then, before I get into these individual stories, I want to just make something clear today. Did you see Donald Trump's amazing speech to the United Nations when he embarrassed them all by, telling them some facts? One thing sprang out there, and it was when he was reeling off the percentages of foreign criminals in prisons in Europe, and it sprang out because it dawned on me that, as usual, perfidious Albion, the most dishonest, lying civil servants and politicians in Europe, are the British at this point. We've somehow got lower than the Italians, and the statistics are outrageously false in the United Kingdom. President Trump was just pointing at some of these numbers from Germany and Switzerland and places like that, and I realised, how come everywhere else in Europe the foreign criminals in their prisons are 50% or higher? But in the UK, they keep telling us these triflingly minuscule numbers that anyone who's ever walked down a British high street and watched a Somalian knife man slipping a length of steel between an old lady's kidneys knows is blatantly false. So I asked Grok, which European nations have the highest number of foreigners in their prisons by percentage? And it confirmed that, a relatively normal figure seems to be 50, 60, 70%. Monaco's the highest, because all of the scrubbers go to Monaco to rob rich people. But Switzerland and Luxembourg are in the 70s. San Marino, 66.7%. Cyprus, Greece, Malta and Spain are all in the 50%, and Germany's just kissing it at 48.8% of all the people in their prisons are foreign. So surely a country like the UK, which has a roughly comparable population and a roughly comparable percentage of foreigners moving there, surely the UK's numbers are the same, aren't they? Well, no, because we've released these numbers in June 2025. The fake fudge numbers from the lying, devious, sneaky, grooming, gang-enabling, hostile to the natives, but very, very, very friendly to the foreign diddlers, Home Office and British House of Commons and Lords have released these numbers recently, right? And they said only 12% of the prison population in the UK are foreign. Yeah, okay then. 12%. But in Germany and Spain, it's 50%. If you believe those numbers, you are as thick as Mr. Kababu, the low IQ sub-Saharan kiddie fiddler that our politicians imported to the UK on purpose out of spite. Okay? Just getting it out there. If you think those numbers are true, you are a maniac. That should be a national scandal, and I really hope a proper journalist, as opposed to a juvenile, thoroughly unprofessional journalist like the Angry Bootneck, actually puts in a freedom of information request and gets to the bottom of this, because I'd love to interview your average prison guard and say, do you think roughly 10% of the jails are full of foreigners in the UK, as opposed to Germany, where it's half? Just some food for thought. Let's get started with the show. This one from the BBC is the hotel attacker who made threats the day before stabbing 6 people. So nice to see the British government is still as incompetent at dealing with blatantly obvious criminal migrants as they always have been. Nice to see that they're as bad north of Hadrian's Wall as they are south of it. An asylum seeker who was shot and killed after stabbing 6 people at a hotel had made threats 24 hours before the incident, and as usual, we didn't do anything about it, because if a bloke tells the British government 40 times he's going to blow himself up at a pop concert and the British government ignore it all and then he kills a load of women and kids, why would they listen when it's merely one guy telling them he's very, very angry? in Scotland, in Glasgow. I mean, everybody's angry in Glasgow. Have you ever been? So on the one hand, this is good. It's nice to see that Badreddin Abdallah Bosch fit in and embraced Glaswegian culture. But on the other hand, hundreds of people have been traumatised, 6 have been stabbed, and we've had to spend money on valuable ammunition to rid the world of this boil on the arse of humanity who should have never been in the UK in the first place. Brilliant. Moving swiftly on, the Epping Hotel Asylum seeker Diddler. He's been jailed for sex assault, obviously, because he blatantly did it. There's Mr. Kababu. Yeah, wonderful to see we are still importing the dregs of humanity. Just once, I want to see a foreign criminal who's like a ginger woman with a certificate from a university. Just once. Can we have one? Mr. Kababu was found guilty of touching up schoolgirls, and he said, "Oh yeah, can I get deported as soon as possible, please?" Because again, they're all chancers, and they're not fleeing war. They're not. They're chancers, thieves, and economic migrants who come here because they want to commit crimes because they know we're a soft touch. Where he comes from, if you try and diddle little kids, they'll probably lop a hand off. But here, we'll give you a council house, a 24 deck of Charmin Ultra, and as many, I don't know, halal noodles as you can eat. It's unbelievable. We're getting the piss took out of us by all and sundry. And our children and wives and daughters and the general peace-loving members of the public are being sacrificed on the altar of political correctness by hateful left-wing ideologues. Nice one. It says the judge at Chelmsford Magistrates Court said it must have been a disgusting and sickening experience. And now she says, every time I go out with my friends, I'm checking over my shoulder. Yeah, so traumatised for life, but it's a small price to pay to carry on importing future Labour voters. Definitely. So suck it up, love. Get yourself a pair of cast iron knickers with a padlock on them. And to quote a certain female regular at the snack bar, a Bradford MP, Naz Shah, wasn't it? Suck it up. Keep your mouth shut for the good of diversity. Nice one. From The Sun, we've got this one. Surprise sex horror. A Sudanese immigrant told a student, "I love you," while he surprise sexed her after dragging her out of a nightclub. That was the most insincere "I love you" since Kathy Bates smashed that fella's legs in with a sledgehammer in Misery.
God, I love you.
Definitely doesn't. He doesn't really mean it, does he? No, he's not going to get a chocolates and flowers afterwards. There he is, stereotypical foreign diddler with an head like a microphone. Love to see it. It says Samir forced the young woman to take her clothes off, pinned her on his bed, and gave her the good news despite her anguished pleas to stop. Okay, well, if you're getting a bit emotional reading that, I should have started this broadcast with a trigger warning. But you will remember, trigger warnings are only required if you're an emotionally histrionic, mentally ill, left-wing lunatic with purple hair, a coach ball through your tongue, and 200 cats shitting all over your kitchen. So sorry, forgot to do it. I credit my viewers with a slightly higher IQ than most. The court heard that Mighty Moore, whose immigration status is unknown, he was charged with 2 counts of struggle snuggling at Bournemouth Crown Court, and they heard how the 2 strangers had been to the Cameo nightclub in Bournemouth on the night of the incident. Before she knew it, she was pulled up some stairs and told to get undressed. She said no, I don't want to, but he ignored this and simply told her to relax. Mighty Moore denies 2 counts of surprise sex, as he says it was all consensual. Yeah, definitely consensual when you ply children with drugs and alcohol, physically drag them up the stairs by the hair, and then tell them to relax when they insist they don't want you to horse one into them. Marvellous story, and I'm sure he'll be devastated when they give him an 18-month suspended sentence and cancel his library card. This one is perhaps the biggest travesty of justice from the week. I'm sure you've all heard about it. This low IQ third world barbarian thinks it's perfectly acceptable to stab at people with a bread knife when they talk shit about your big book of desert scribblings plagiarised from the Bible by a pot-bellied epileptic midget who's desperately trying to take over the world. Because Hamid Koskun was setting his big book of fables alight, he screamed, "I'm going to kill you," and attacked him with a knife. However, because he's a regular at the snack bar, Judge Hiddleston said, "Of course we can't send you to prison for things like that, sir," and gave him a 20-week suspended prison sentence, so he walked free from court. The judge contradicted himself in the middle of the courtroom because he said it's disgraceful and the use of blades is a curse on our community. Yeah, it's a curse on our community, but if you're a regular at the snack bar, you don't get sent to prison for it because the state's on your side. He later told the police, "I protect my religion." Listen, right, I'll just sum up because this is a travesty of justice. It's been talked about all week. Totally ludicrous, right? The Christians got with the programme and reformed because they got mocked for centuries by men of science who said, "Hang on, this bit doesn't make any sense," and they got used to it. If we don't promote pointing at glaring stupidity in their big book of brazen fiction, plagiarised desert fiction, okay, and they get used to having it criticised, we will never drag them kicking and screaming out of the dark ages. To prosecute the man who did the book burning more harshly than the bloke who did the stabby in the face thing is preposterous. And anyone with two brain cells to rub together knows this. This should be an international scandal, and the UK should be an international laughingstock. It's completely ridiculous, and I'd rather not talk about it anymore because it pisses me off. Birmingham Live, here we go. Well, Birmingham is always going to make an appearance in Crimewatch Foreign Diddler Edition, isn't it? Because it's Birmingham. It's Birmingham. You're probably less likely to get accosted in Karachi than you are in Birmingham. If I had the choice of briskly walking through Birmingham or deploying to Afghanistan for a third time, I'd pick 6 months in the Dust Bowl, thanks all the same. Anyway, let's read the story. Out of morbid curiosity, a Birmingham girl, 5, was snatched off the street by a man and struggle-snuggled in his house. Court told, once again, his name curiously starts with M and ends in Ahmed, and once again, he's going to walk off with a slapped wrist. Because the country's gone mad, and you only get jailed for things like that if you're called Alan and you're ginger. The child's mother heard her daughter crying inside Mr. Abdul Razik's downstairs room and tried to smash the window with a piece of wood to rescue her. I think Abdul Razik is like their version of Smith or Taylor. I'm sick of reading Abdul Razik. It's almost as common as Mighty Mo, isn't it? Anyway, when she was unsuccessful, a neighbour tried climbing through the window and saw the 32-year-old defendant and the little girl with the bottom half of their clothing down to their ankles just him in the bath. I'm not a barbarian, yeah, I'm not from the third world, so we can have a trial, and then we can find him guilty, and then with the consent of the general public, I'm sure 9 out of 10 of which fully agree with the angry Bootneck, just get shot of him. What's the point in keeping people like this around? What are we going to do? Rehabilitate him with picture books, and then give him a job in a local primary school? Just get shot of him. A Sudanese national. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. He also punched the neighbour before others forced their way in and removed the girl who told her mother, "He hurt me." Yeah, no shit. So there's not much more to say about that one, is there? There's not much more to say other than to say that this fella definitely wants both barrels, and I believe almost everybody with a fully functioning brain will agree with me. And we'll do one more because it's dragging on now. I mean, this is but a fraction of the foreign perverts and lunatics that are brutalising English women and children every day up and down the country. Sorry, and a few Scots as well. They're starting to get a taste of it, thanks to the SNP. Blade horror. Moments bystanders clutching shopping bag, charges at rampaging knife man, screaming, "Stop, stop." There is a video which I can't share with you because YouTube isn't fun, and needless to say, The courageous pedestrian shouts "stop, stop" as others pile into the terrifying daylight brawl on a busy road in Brixton. Brixton, everyone knows who predominantly resides in Brixton, don't they? Needless to say, it's a dusky gentleman in a tracksuit with a flick knife. I would never have saw that coming, would you? The person filming it captioned the video with, "This is my sign to get the F out of London." Oh yeah, I can't call them sage or wise because anybody with a room temperature IQ has been saying that for at least 20 years. So you're slow on the uptake, love. Footage taken by one of the drivers initially shows a group of hooded youths. Yeah, that's not how you spell Africans, is it? No, it doesn't start with a Y. Horrified bystanders waiting at the bus stop watches some of the thugs pull out knives, then one sprints after his rival, waving his blade, and a woman behind the camera can be heard saying, "Oh my God, oh no," as the target tumbles to the floor to get ventilated by his chum. Reacting to the scary footage, some called on London Mayor Sadi Khan to take more action against knife crime. Some. So 50% of Londoners are like, "Oh, this is fine. I like to be reminded of Mogadishu when I am doing my shopping, Mr. Khan." Yeah, it's fine and dandy for some of them. One likened the scenes to something out of the Hunger Games. And another said, "Feral scumbags gutting each other on the streets of London. Brilliant. It's become a third world country of street crime and disorder, and it angers me to see it. Well, join the club, fella." I think we'll leave it there for the week. As you can see, the UK's fallen apart. It was done on purpose, out of spite, by deranged, mentally ill, globalist sociopaths. And to finish on that point again, because I'd love to hear some more statistics, some allegories from people in the prison service or the Metropolitan Police. If you believe that Spain and Germany, their prisons are 50% full of foreigners, but you think the UK's is only 12% foreigners, I've got a bridge to sell you, yeah. I'd be able to sell you a Fiat 500 with bricks for wheels and no engine. That's how daft you are if you believe the numbers from the civil service. But what say you? Please let me know if you witnessed any of the crimes mentioned in this week's episode of Crimewatch. Let me know in the comments. If your local MP told you, forget about it for the good of diversity. If your granny got fingered by a Somalian pirate, please write to the Angry Bootneck and let him know. All right? Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Crimewatch. And remember, don't sleep soundly and do have nightmares because you're living in one. Cheers.